Danny, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on Sky News. I suppose my first question to you is that there must be great relief where you are and indeed in Israel tonight that the hostages could be returning home as early as Monday or Tuesday of next week, according to the US president.
Absolutely. We are very hopeful. For 2 years, we prayed, we fought in order to bring them back. We paid a very heavy price. More than 2,000 people died since October 7th. And we pray that they will all come home safely. There is a lot of tension, with the families. We don't know exactly the condition of the hostages. We don't know exactly, from those who are not alive anymore, who will be able to come back, the families to receive the bodies. So we will have to wait, but we are hopeful. We waited for that day, and we put a lot of pressure and determination it required from us in order to get to this point where we can actually speak about the closure of this war.
In saying that, obviously it is a compromise, but many within your own government aren't happy about that compromise, talking about the release of prisoners, the release by Israel of prisoners, saying that essentially this will release the next generation of terrorist leaders who will do everything to continue to pour rivers of Jewish blood here. That's the Israeli finance minister. Do you agree with him?
Well, I think it's painful. It's not a perfect agreement. We are paying a very heavy price. Overwhelming support of the government will be there in a few hours supporting this agreement, and the public in Israel will also support it. But, we have to look at the numbers and at the people that we are releasing. Those are convicted terrorists who killed dozens of Jews, and we know that they will not become, peace activists. They will go back to do what they did for the entire life.
Precisely, isn't that the point that some within your government suggest this is short-sighted, is the quote. And surely, are you not concerned about that?
Well, we have two bad options, either to leave the hostages behind or to release those murderers. And I think the government will decide to release the murderers and to bring the hostages home. We're talking about civilians who were kidnapped from their homes. And the duty of the government is to protect its citizens. And unfortunately, it didn't happen on October 7th. That's why we engaged in this war to bring them back home. And we paid a price, and we are paying a heavier price now. But I think that is the decision the government will take, because we cannot leave them behind and just tell them, we are not willing to pay that price.
Just in terms of timings. Okay, sorry, Dan. Just in terms of timings, I mean, you seem to suggest this will be ratified this evening, that there's overwhelming support. Effectively, if it is, when does this ceasefire begin? Is it immediate?
So according to the first phase that will be approved in the government, the Israeli military will move to a different line. And after that will happen, then we should expect the release of the hostages, and it will take 72 hours. So I think first, we will have 24 hours to push the troops backward. It will happen, and then we will see the release of hostages coming to Israel. Probably it will be only Sunday or Monday.
Okay, clearly, if this deal is to succeed in the short, medium, and certainly the long term, there's going to have to be some trust with the Palestinian Authority and the people who live in the West Bank and Gaza. Do you trust them?
Well, I think now they have an option to choose, They have to choose, a peaceful society. We left Gaza 20 years ago in 2005, and we gave them the keys and told them, build your future. You have the responsibility over Gaza, and the Hamas and the radicals took over Gaza. I don't think today it will happen so fast, but that will be the challenge. And we also expect from the international community to take the proper steps to try and change the culture of hate among the Palestinians. Enough with the indoctrination of the young students.
Is that in part
paying
also
salaries to terrorists?
But Danny, in part, if that trust goes, it works both ways. What does Israel need to do to build up trust? I mean, trust works both ways.
Well, I think the fact that we are pulling out and we have no desire to stay in Gaza speaks for itself. It's up for the Palestinians to build their own future, to take responsibility, to have a leadership that promotes peace. That's the challenge for them. And in terms of security, we will not take any risks. We will watch very carefully what's happening there. We will not allow Hamas to regroup, rearm, and to pose a threat against us again. But I think the challenge is to see that if you have like a genuine leadership that will come and say, enough with the incitement and the hate, let's try to build something for ourselves there.
But trust would come from a very explicit commitment by the Israeli government to a Palestinian state, wouldn't it? To a two-state solution. That would help.
That's not on the table. It's not part of the agreement. And I think before we speak about any future agreements, now they have to speak about how they conduct their affairs. To prove to themselves, first of all, that they can actually govern without allowing radicals to take over. When you look at the Middle East, Darren, you see that you have countries that the radicals control, and you have countries that can actually govern. I think now the test is what will happen in Gaza. Would it become like Yemen or Libya, a place where you have chaos? Or it will be a place that they can actually speak about law and order? We don't know the answer yet.
Just finally on all of this, this is Donald Trump's doing, isn't it? This is his essential deal. He's kind of had to drag Benjamin Netanyahu to get here. The people in Hostage Square tonight are praising Donald Trump, not your Prime Minister.
Well, first, we are grateful for Donald Trump and his administration for their involvement. And we have to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu. But first of all, we have to thank our soldiers who fought for 2 years and put the pressure on Hamas and brought them to the place where they accepted the terms of the deals. And when you look at the government decision 2 years ago, very basic. We made a commitment to bring the hostages back and to ensure that Hamas will not stay in power. So according to the deal, if it will work through, we will achieve those goals of the war. So we give credit to everyone.
But praise for everyone, but let's be honest about this. Many within Israel, many outside of Israel, and it seems that even Donald Trump himself thinks that Benjamin Netanyahu has been an obstacle to try and bring about any deal. I think it was reported that he said he was being way too negative.
I don't accept it. The fact that the Prime Minister is bringing the agreement to the government as we speak, and it's going to be voted and supported by the government and by the people of Israel, it speaks for itself. But we fought very hard to get to this point. It wouldn't have happened immediately. We had to put the pressure on Hamas, and I think the determination of the Prime Minister to actually take Gaza City, and we intended to do it, that brought Hamas to a conclusion that it's better to negotiate now before we enter Gaza City than after.
Okay, Danon, the Israeli ambassador to the UN, thank you very much.